Greetings, everybody. Small select group. Nice to see everybody. Need to read out the safety instructions first of all. If there is a fire and there's no fire drill planned today, there are fire exits located down the main stairs of the building, on the fire exit door and the metal staircase to the outside. The fire evacuation meeting points in the car park. Subject to Standing Order 4.1.3, a person who attends a meeting is permitted to report on the meeting whilst the meeting is open to the public. To report means to film, photograph, make an audio recording of meeting proceedings, use other means to enable persons not present to see or hear the meeting as it takes place, and later, or to report, or to provide all written commentary about the meeting so that the report or commentary is available as the meeting takes place, or later to persons not present. It's further detailed in also Town Council's formal recording policy and the Town Council's behaviour policy. The person present at the meeting may not provide an oral report or oral commentary about a meeting as it takes place without permission. Thank you. So, over to the agenda. Apologies for absence. We've had apologies from Councillors Ben Aldridge, John Davey and Mike Johnson. So first of all, if I could ask councillors to declare any interests and requests for dispensations in relation to items on the agenda tonight.
Nothing that I'm aware of, no.
Nothing that I'm aware of.
And likewise for me, nothing that I'm aware of. Public participation in relation to the meeting agenda items, like agenda item 4, we've got no public online or in the room. So we go next to the minutes of the last meeting, to which I sent my apologies, so I have to rely on you, Paul and Anna, to verify that they're a correct record of that meeting.
Yep. I can propose that.
I can second it.
Motion carried. So agenda item 6, to receive the Chairman's verbal update. So John Davey, who's chair of the meeting, sent his apologies. He had a holiday booked before the dates of this meeting were known, so I'm standing in as his vice chair. Highlights that John and I felt we should report to the committee since the last meeting were that the 2023-2024 budget is broadly on track, and we'll come to that later on in the agenda. Secondly, we're working hard to develop a budget for next year, and we'll look at the plan for that shortly. A budget process timetable is given below. We're also planning to make this a 4-year financial plan for the life of the council, so we can get a better handle on opportunities and risks in relation to forward planning. We'll be looking at our investment policy after this year's budget process is complete. And as everyone is all too aware, we're living through a cost of living crisis at the moment that affects interest rates, energy prices, food and other costs. And the council is, of course, not immune to these stresses. And these will, of course, influence our budgetary considerations. Last, in terms of my report, firemen's, as per financial regulations, firemen's will be considered, but at the next meeting of the Staffing and Finance Committee. Any questions or issues, Paul?
None for me, thank you.
Great. So item number 7 on the agenda is the budget timetable that John has put together with Wendy and Rachel, the financial officer, and this is a rough outline of how we're going to get to the stage by November, December next year of reporting the budget to full council and approving the final budget by the 10th of January 2024. Paul, I know you've probably been more involved in this process than me. Any comments, or Emma, any comments about the timetable as you have it before you?
I don't think so. I think we're very much in a better position with all of the projects, all of the expectation and costs, in terms of what we see as our list of everything that we've got, be it those things which are, things that we have to do, things that we'd like to do, and any other projects that we need to be able to prioritise. So once we are in a shape to be able to actually present that to the rest of the councillors and then agree our prioritisations, that's when the hard decisions need to come, and we need to kind of work through what funding that we do have, and as we see it on the list of what we've got, other income other than the precept, which we need to really look at to find out whether we can actually look at alternate methods of generating income, be it through applications of grants or those kind of things, which might impact what we've got in terms of headcount. But other than that, it's going to be a difficult process that we need to run through, isn't it?
Indeed.
But it's necessary, because we need to kind of get our budget in a right, to be realistic, to actually be able to serve Portishead as well. So we've got all of those things that we need to put on the table and kind of work through. So
I completely agree.
Yeah, I agree totally with Emma, and back to your point about we have numerous costs that are growing, not only for the residents but also for the council as well, which does mean that the 24-25 budget will need some extra time and effort to make sure that we've got it all aligned, make sure that we've got the BAU absolutely nailed in, and then look at what we have available to do the would-like to-dos as well. So no, I don't see. I think October will be a challenge to get the draft 24-25 budget sorted.
More likely to be a task that tips into November, but
I think it will be underway, certainly well underway during October. We might get it in by the end of October, but I think because it is such a big challenge to get the 24-25 budget in a place where everybody is happy. I suspect that October might slip a little bit.
not for one to try and know.
No. And an awful lot of work's been done on it already. So.
And just looking at this timetable, we've got until 20th of December to present it to full council. Is that right?
No.
No, not until January.
Yeah.
But formal recommendation, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that will be to our December.
Yes.
This December meeting.
Yes.
So the next meeting of this committee.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're in absolute dire straits, we have to send the precept request to North Somerset by the 30th of January. So if it was really desperate, we could squeeze in another council meeting towards the end of the month, should we need it. And I have done that in the past. So if it's absolutely desperate, hopefully it won't be.
Yeah. The more exposure, I guess, each of the councillors have also to the task at hand, and the decisions that we need to make, the priorities, and the process that we need to go through to gauge those priorities as well.
Indeed.
It needs to be, I was saying, sort of formalised, but we need to be able to judge everything on its own merits and then prioritise what we need to really.
And I contacted Ben before the meeting just to ask if he had any comments on agenda items, and his one comment was around this item and budgeting, and his requests were that we set up a budget meeting as soon as possible. And I understand he's having a Teams call with Wendy about that.
Yes.
And I guess he needs to wait also till John gets back from his holidays. So
Yep.
as a group, they can decide when things are ready enough to share, as you say, Emma, with other councillors. And his related request was that to keep the budgeting process as simple as possible, so that it's as understandable to fellow councillors.
Yeah. We're dealing with a lot of information, just because of the nature of all of the various costs that we do have. So it's complex, but as you said, it's the prioritisation of the things which fall outside of those things that we have to do, you know, from a health and safety point of view, from, you know, a staff point of view, from, you know, those kind of aspects are non-negotiable. It's all of the other, you know, that smaller part that we've got left for deciding on what we can do for everything else. So, yeah.
Thank you. I just noticed the other things, the timing of the focal condition survey. Do you have any knowledge about when that's likely to be available?
I've got it.
Ah, good.
Today, then. Came in today. Okay. Okay.
So that will need to be shared as soon as possible and incorporated in the plans.
Yep.
Fantastic. So is that enough on that agenda item? I understand we don't need to take a vote on it, it's more for information and
That's right.
discussion.
Yes.
That's some really helpful guidance from you guys, thanks. Yep. So agenda item number 8 is the parking enforcement officer, and this is really just to note that the town clerk and vice chairman of the council met with North Somerset officers and confirmed the hours of attendance, because there was a concern that we were paying for hours of attendance and we weren't actually getting, and that North Somerset Council officers are going to reissue the hours and the payment to be made to
Correct.
Anything to add to that, Paul?
No, and it was quite easy to see when we reviewed the time sheet that they provided. There were 2 columns, and one of them was hours of attendance or something like that, and that was the number that we'd used. And there was another number next to it, a much bigger number, and what it was hours of patrol.
That's right.
And what it was, that the other column is the total hours they've spent in Portishead, and the hours of patrol was the hours they'd spent on foot, because a lot of the area they do in a car driving around. So it was the bigger number that we had to use, and once we understood that, it was pretty straightforward, and it's all it's auditable.
Yes.
It's auditable, so you can go back and you can look at a specific day. You can look at the streets they went down, because their devices geolocate,
GP, yeah.
and every 2 minutes or 3 minutes it will put a point, so you know what streets they've gone down and what days. So yeah,
it's just for their own management of their
That's
staff
right.
as well,
Yeah.
I guess, isn't it?
That's right.
So does that mean the recalculation is there a change in the recalculation relevant to the understanding of the patrol versus
Yes.
on foot?
Yes,
There is as well.
Yes, because they've had to take an average rather than.
yeah. I think the way to do it would be to look at all the days across a month and say, okay, on average that month, these are the number of hours that were worked. I wouldn't want to spread it across multiple months, because obviously the billing is done on a monthly basis.
I don't need to be aligned to that. Then,
Per month is reasonable.
And also, if they're under the hours, then we don't pay them the full amount. We pay them for the hours they do. If they go over, my view would be that's their choice.
Yeah. It's an average at the end of the day.
Average at the end of the month, yeah. But if it goes over
At the end of the month, yeah.
yeah,
I was
that's
just
not the
doing
end of the month,
yeah.
yeah. If the average goes over
Yeah.
the requested amount of hours, then
Yes.
we only pay up to the maximum.
Requested.
I presume any additional hours would be caused by ticketing or advising people of their parking misnomers anyway, wouldn't it? So yeah.
Thanks, Paul. I've heard so many people comment they haven't seen traffic officers in Portishead for a long, long time. Does this mean they're now back on the beat? Or?
I've seen them quite a few times recently, actually.
And I would say, looking at the report, they're
going up.
most days.
Yes, and they're not just concentrating on the high street, they're going up on the peripheral roads as well, aren't they?
That should
And they showed us a graphic of that, and it was very clear to see.
I guess if their locations, if we are, asked to provide evidence, we can.
We've got it.
Yeah.
Down to street names, the number of occasions that they've been there in the days.
Number of tickets, etc., etc. Yeah.
And can we recommend to them areas they should focus on because of concerns from our residents?
We can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, we can feed that back to them. And they may turn around, hypothetical scenario, somebody says, oh, they never do Brampton, yeah? Well, we can go and we can get evidence as to whether they have or not. If they haven't, then we can ask them to add it to the routes. And if they have, then obviously we can go back to the resident and say, well,
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you. So now we need to vote on that one. The next item, agenda item 9, is about finance, and we've got a number of separate papers here. So I guess, do we vote on each of the sub-items?
Yes, you can do. Yeah. If there's any questions, we can go through it individually. That's absolutely fine.
So the first finance one is to receive and approve the list of payments totalling 122,000 made in July 2023. Initially I thought this was a miscalculation, and I worked out why I thought it was a miscalculation. I think I let you all know. So sorry for the red herring earlier on today. Any comments, Emma?
My only one comment was we noticed that the Avon Wildlife Trust subscription that we were going to up is still not been upped.
Okay, I will.
That was it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
that was, I
mention
think, because I think we'd agreed to put it up in, it was Mike's suggestion, I think, that we
That's
put it up in May or June or whatever it was, but yeah, I can still see it going out for its 5, yeah.
Did we agree on the amount?
We did, I think it was 7,
yeah,
750 maybe. It was something like that, but yeah, that was everything else is all all okay from my side. Sorry, yeah.
Paul, how about you?
I'm absolutely fine with it.
So can I have a proposer to accept?
Yeah,
I'll be proposing.
Paul throws. A second. Vote on that.
All in favour.
All in favour. Thank you. So the second item is the same approval of list of payments totaling for August 2023, coming to 56,000. We've got 3 papers on that. Any comments or questions around those?
No.
No.
So it's been ordered to me. So again, you have a proposer for
So is that one?
I'll second that.
So we could keep it the same, and then you just like to switch it around.
can we vote on that?
Yep.
Thank you.
So in agreement. So the third paper that we need to vote on is receiving and approving the cash and investment reconciliation statements for August 2023. There are 3 papers here. There's a summary and a paper 2 of the bank accounts. Any questions in relation to those?
No.
No, none for me, don't know.
So can I have a proposer for those? Emma?
I'll second.
By Paul.
Yep.
All in favour?
Thank you.
Accepting those papers, thank you very much. So the next item in the finance section is to receive and consider the detailed income and expenditure statement for August 2023. It took me a long time to get my head around this, I have to say, but in the end I focused on the column that looked at the percentage agreement between the budget and our spend, and I was reassured to see that on the whole, some acceptance, some higher, some lower, we're on track.
Yeah.
The particular thing that stood out to me was there's a 75% of our grant budget has been spent, which is what we expect at this time of year, I think, given that we want the grants to be spent by, I think it's May next year. We've got an underspend in the cost of living grants, we've got an overspend in skate park expenses, but some of those will come back in grants, I understand. But there's a lot of very useful detail in there.
Yeah.
Emma.
Hello. Am I allowed to come and sit up here, or shall I stay down here?
The chair.
You're welcome to join us.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I haven't been to one of these. I wanted to come along and see one, but I've just been to a Q&A session in Nailsea and it was overrun. So
Just in time. Actually, we're running through the agenda quite quickly this morning.
Yeah.
So we're up to agenda item 9, finance. We've just been discussing briefly our detailed income and expenditure statement for August 2023. And I was explaining my perplexity with the drawing.
Yeah.
Paul, Emma, any comments or questions?
No, it's like you say, it's on track. There's nothing too scary in there. The ones that we are expecting to be coming in below, I'm sure we will find uses for it. And yeah, so there's nothing in there that stands out as a challenge, an issue. So I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no. Obviously, going through the detail of what we were going through before with, for the budget, it kind of that helped me get my head around it. To be honest, so no, we're all good. Yeah.
Very clear. I would make, I know I've made it before, is to make the column headers a little bit clearer, and I've discussed that with Wendy already, because some of the column headers are just the same, and it's impossible to work out which is which sometimes, without a kind of aid memoir. Okay, so we don't need to vote on that. That's fine. And the last agenda item under the finance reporting is to note the conclusion of the audit of the 2022-2023 accounts and receive the external auditor's report and certificate. And it's great to see that in September the auditors signed off.
It's good.
So thanks to everyone involved with that. I imagine that's Rachel, Wendy, and John had a big. Well, actually, that's probably predated John, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think Rachel's been a huge asset since she joined us. It's I can remember the previous finance councillor, Bob Bull, and he just lit up after his first meeting with Rachel, and it was just like, okay, it all makes sense. Yeah. So great job.
No. Yeah, it's just good to see, isn't it?
So thank you. So agenda item 10, the date of our next meeting, Wednesday the 20th of December 2023 at 7:30 p.m.
Since pies at the ready.
So for the next item, so what is the exclusion of the public and press? Which I think we do need to exclude you from.
Yes. I got in just in time for that.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. There was the only thing I wanted to say, so can I just do public participation, then I'll get out of your hand, was that I noted from the accounts that obviously we've got money in the bank, which is always good, but obviously we've got well over the stuff guaranteed under the Financial Services Compensation Scheme in a single deposit account. Have we considered the risk involved in that? And I'll leave you with that thought. Yeah. That was my only comment. Whether or not we should look at that at some stage.
Yeah.
Well, really good to attend your meeting. When's the next one?
20th December.
20th of December. So
Yeah,
maybe I'll
Paying attention. It was the last thing that David said.
Properly chaired by the chairman, John.
I thought you said 23rd. That's why I was obviously my hearing's a bit funny. But now I'll try and make the other one earlier so I can see what's going on. Yeah.
I hear these are generally quite quick meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And this means that I can actually go and have some tea now. So I've been in meetings all day, literally. So I'm going to go and have a.
That's right. And a really good point about deposits. Thank you. I think that's noted. Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Good stuff. Cheers, Roger.
So under the public body's admissions to meetings in 1916, members of the public and press are required to leave the meeting at items 12 and 13 due to the items being confidential matters, contractual staffing costs, confidential staffing matters and contractual obligations. So can I ask the councillors agree to exclude the public and press? Those in favour?
Yep.
We need a proposer.
I need a proposal.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then
All in favour.
So at that point we'll turn off the recording.